A very good evening and welcome to Times Exclusive right here on Times TV. My name is Alpha Soho. This is a particular program where we discuss issues of national importance with a variety of guests. And today we're joined by the campaign director of Malawi Congress Party, Mr. Moses Kunkuyu. Remember, this program is brought to you courtesy of Rainbow Paints.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Honorable Kunkuyu, welcome to Times Exclusive.
Thank you very much.
Oh, right. Let's get straight into business. First of all, congratulations for winning the presidential elections case as the Malawi Congress Party.
Thank you very much.
What's your reaction to that particular victory? Let's begin from there.
I remember the president of Malawi Congress Party, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, saying that he went to court to seek justice, justice on behalf of Malawians. Where did that justice, was that justice robbed from Malawians? It was after the elections in which Malawians fully participated. They came out in their large numbers and voted. And when we as Malawi Congress Party did our tallying of the votes, it was clear that we got the majority of the votes. Lazarus Chakwera won the elections. And we did inform the nation, did announce to the nation to say, Malawi Electoral Commission, please do not announce anything other than the victory that we have secured with Lazarus Chakwera. If you would want to confirm or whatever, you can do a recount. But hold your pace before you announce. Because what you're going to announce, if it's contrary to what we are saying now, is going to backfire. We said that. And they went on to announce contrary results. And because we knew what we had tallied, we knew that Lazarus Chakwera had won the election, then we went to court through Lazarus Chakwera. So he represented Malawians, not only those that support Malawi Congress Party, but the Malawians that had voted, over 2 million Malawians that voted for Lazarus Chakwera. And victory in this case does not belong to Lazarus Chakwera alone. It belongs to Malawians. Young people that want to shape their future, they know that there is a constitutional tool that they can use to shape their future. There is unemployment in the country, lack of study opportunities for young people, and they know that they can only be part of the shaping of their future if they go and participate in a vote. So robbing them of that opportunity is also robbing them of their future. That is why the president was representing all Malawians, particularly the young people of the country. So the victory in this case does not belong to Lazarus Chakwera. It belongs to the people of Malawi.
Where did you get the confidence? Because that was not a very easy case. It's a very complicated matter, probably the first of its kind in Malawi, of that particular nature, where an election has been nullified. Where did you get the confidence? Why were you sure, or were you just trying? Why were you sure that we're going to make it?
You know, this was not the first time that such an election has been administered in the country. A shambolic, if I may call it, election. In 2014, the case was the same. But along the way, the case was dropped and did not get to this stage. So building up on the experience from 2014, the confidence came with the leadership that was there. You could see that the leader, Lazarus Chakwera, was always calm, advising the supporters to remain calm and peaceful. That confidence came because we knew the truth. We knew what lied under the TPEX. We knew what lied under the TPEX because we had our tally centers, we did our tallying of the votes, and we knew how many votes we got. I can tell the nation here that Lazarus Chakwera got over 2 million votes. And that is very true. So because we knew what we had gotten, and we knew that we had evidence to prove that, then confidence was automatic that we would go and pursue the case with more confidence because we knew what we had gotten through the vote.
Now, this particular ruling has got consequences, obviously. You are not expecting the court, you correct me if I'm mistaken, to talk about the 50+1, to declare that Malawi's president from now on has to be elected using the 50+1 system of electing a leader. Parliament, of course, has to look into it and see how they're going to go about it, how the nation will go about it. The 50+1, you didn't ask for that one. Are you ready for it as the Malawi Congress? But how do you look at the 50+1 scenario?
All right, as you did say, that we may not dwell our discussion around the legality of it being, coming from the courts, which probably our understanding would have been, or the general thoughts would have been that Parliament ought to have legislated this, but let's not try to think beyond those 5 esteemed judges. But let's look at a scenario where the 50+1 is in place and we have to work around that. As Malawi Congress Party, we supported the planned legislation of the Electoral Reforms Bill, which included the 50+1 provision. We supported it in Parliament. It was shot down by the government side. That means we were ready. We've always been ready. It marries well with our agenda to unite the country. You know, this country is divided along regional lines. To break those regional barriers where someone would think that a certain region belongs to a certain political party, or a certain political party commands its support mostly in a particular region, to break those barriers, we really need to have a resolve to unite this country, political will to unite the country. And the 50+1 arrangement, in a way, whether directly or indirectly, it does foster that kind of unification. But in Malawi Congress Party, that's already in us. We say, let's unite this country. So if there is any piece of legislation that will, at the end, foster that unity, we always support that. We supported it, and we can always support it again now. But talking of the figures that would represent the 50+1, I can tell the nation that people of Malawi are ready to vote. They can vote for one person that can achieve the 50+1, but where people come together and unite to pursue an agenda that will be for the general good, and where they unite in an alliance with the purpose of redeeming a country, that would be the best thing to do.
You touched on the issue of the 50+1 having the possibility of uniting a nation that's politically fragmented. How exactly do you see that happening? Because one would think that you would require probably 2 leaders to come together to achieve a 50+1, which would probably come from one region and sidelining another.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Because of how fragmented we are as a country, when you look at the voting patterns that we've had in the past, you would be compelled to think or to reason that one party would not, or one presidential aspirant would not achieve a 50+1 score in an election.
Would Dr. Lazarus Chakwera achieve that? Because definitely this will mean getting into alliances, Mr.
Okay, I do not want to sound over ambitious, but I will tell you here, we tallied the votes, and I'm not saying we should not go into any alliances. No, I don't want people to get me wrong. But it has happened in this country. Bingu Mutharika got over 50% of votes.
In 2009.
In 2009. Whether that was authentic, that's a story for another day. But it happened that he got those kind of votes, which means in Malawi, someone who is speaking to the hearts of the people can achieve that mark. And this unification that I am talking about, which can be fostered by the application of the 50+1 arrangement, is something that can be achieved if a message goes to the people that speaks to their hearts and inspires them that the future is held in the in the message that this particular individual is presenting. But I must hasten to say that uniting this country is at the heart of Lazarus Chakwera. Uniting this country is at the heart of the Malawi Congress Party. And we don't want to sound over-ambitious that, no, we're going to go it alone. Lazarus Chakwera, the leader of the MCP, has said that he's ready to work with all like-minded individuals and groupings. And I believe that would answer the aspirations, the questions that Malawians are having in as far as wanting to defeat the vice that is there at the moment.
So, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera's thinking is to unite Malawians. What is the strategy? How exactly is he going to do that?
You know, Malawi has been divided along political lines and lately along tribal lines because we have attached the political affiliations to tribes. And it's not easy to break that when someone thinks that because you come from Palombe, then you are a DPP. Because you come from Doaleza, then you are MCP. There was a time when everyone in this country belonged to the Malawi Congress Party. So there is a footprint of the Malawi Congress Party in every region.
One would argue that was by force, probably. It was under a one-party system of government.
No, if we had a one-party system of government and everyone subscribed to to that one-party rule, then we can't say no, it was by force. It was the system that was in place. If the system demanded that there is a single-party rule and everyone subscribed to that party rule, it wasn't by force. It was by arrangement. It was the arrangement that was there. So now, in a democratic dispensation, people can choose. But unfortunately, we did divide the country along those regional lines to say, you are from this tribe, then because the leader comes from that particular tribe, you have to subscribe to that particular political party that comes from that particular region. That's where it makes it harder to break those barriers. It needs some serious resolve and some political will to say, I want to unite this country, and we have to break those barriers. First, let's look at the leadership. So if you look into the leadership of the Malawi Congress Party, it has already broken those barriers. You find the president from the center, the vice president from the southern region, the second vice president from the north. That is deliberate to see to it that every region is represented in the presidency of the party. When it comes to governing the country with the 50+1 in the picture, then, as I did say, you may not say, we are going to go it alone and we are going to get the 50+1, although we know that with the messaging and the inspiration that comes from that messaging, there is that possibility that a single party can get the 50+1.
Okay. In the event that a single party doesn't get a 50+1, who can the Malawi Congress Party get into an alliance with?
That question has been left open. Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, I wish, I would want people to understand this man and what he is trying to represent.
Is it, Honorable Kunkuyu, is it the president of the DPP? Is it the DPP or is it the UTM? Who?
No,
is it,
you know that question.
Is it?
People are discussing this. People want a unified opposition so that they get done with the corruption that has rocked this country. The nepotism that has engulfed this country. People want to get done with that. They don't want to hear of people being promoted on regional lines, people being given jobs on tribal lines. Malawians are tired of that. And if you ask who is going to be in an alliance with Malawi Congress Party, first the question should be, what is the purpose of those alliances? Because we can go into an alliance today with the purpose of clinching power. You can go into an alliance with Party A or Party B, then tomorrow people vote for you and you get into power. But 5 years down the line, people are still suffering in the village. So any alliance that we're trying to go into, let's think of this person in Hewe, let's think of that person in Chididi, that one in Pepozunai, in Kanyenda, in Kasumbu, in Kaminyagwaza. Those are the people we should have at the back of our mind when we're talking of alliances. Many alliances are formed to address a situation. Let's tussle for power, and once we gain power, you see that the governing becomes problematic. Because the aim in the first place was that we should get into government. But if you agree on what you want to do for the country, let's develop the agricultural sector in the country. Let's ensure that the education sector is grown, teachers are paid on time. Let's ensure that our police service remains professional. People must adhere to the rule of law. There must be a serious resolve to fight corruption in this country. If we agree along those lines, let's have servant leadership in this country. Let's end corruption. If we agree on those, then we go into an alliance with the aim of addressing those problems. Then that alliance will benefit the local person in the country. But if we go into an alliance because we want to defeat DPP, let's get them out of power, without necessarily wanting to defeat what DPP represents, then we're getting it all wrong.
So it's about similar thinking, similar strategies, similar ideologies.
And the agenda at the top of it. What is it that a Malawian is suffering? Because if you go into the village, you'll find a young man that would want to attend higher education, but there are no opportunities. There is a quota system in place. How are we going to defeat that? When this person makes it through and is looking for a job, employment opportunities are given on tribal lines. We want to break that. This woman in Chirobwe wants to get medical care, but she cannot because there are no facilities there. There are no medical drugs in the hospitals. When we try to come up with infrastructure in the country, it's all shoddy. People are corrupt. When you want to have a case ruled in your favor, you attempt to bribe even the highest presiders. All this sums up to a country that is rotten. And if you are agreeing in an alliance with the aim only, with the sole aim of getting into power, without looking at what you would want to achieve at the end of the day for the benefit of the local person, then you're getting it all wrong.
Okay. You are watching Times Exclusive right here on Times TV with me, Elvis Soho, and today we're joined by the director of campaign at the Malawi Congress Party, Honorable Moses Kunkuyu, discussing the Malawi Congress Party and its intentions for Malawi. Remember, this is coming about following the decision by the Constitutional Court in Lilongwe to nullify the presidential election results of the 21 May general election. This program is brought to you courtesy of Rainbow Paints.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
This is Times Exclusive right here on Times TV with me, Elvis Soho, joined by the campaign director of Malawi Congress Party, Honorable Moses Kunkuyu, discussing the Malawi Congress Party. What lies ahead for this particular party and what are its plans for Malawi in case it gets into power? Mr. Kunkuyu, let's proceed with our discussion and talk about a little bit further about the decision by the Constitutional Court. It said clearly that MEC was incompetent, that it didn't manage the elections well. Do you agree?
We can't agree more because that has always been our position.
Always?
That has been our position from the day we went to the polls. Actually, even before we went to the polls, we expressed our reservations, saying there is need for professionalism in the elections administrating body because we were coming from a background of another set of shambolic elections in the 2014 polls. So we did warn that we would want to see professionalism being applied in the way the elections of 2019 will be conducted. We gave them the benefit of the doubt and we went to the polls. But coming out of there, it was clear. It was very clear that the elections did not follow the set rules, and that is what prompted us to, in the first place, engage some professionals in the monitoring of the elections, tallying of the results. That's why we had a point where we said we have monitored the elections and we have tallied the results and we have the figures that have come out. That was because we were mindful of the fact that there could be some plans to rig the elections, if I may use that. So, coming out of that, when an announcement was made to the contrary of what we believed to have been the true reflection of the vote, that's when we went to court. And what we sought from the courts was that the courts should vindicate our position that these elections were marred with irregularities, which is exactly what the courts have ruled on.
Now, there were calls for the chairperson of the Malawi Electoral Commission, Jenansa, to step down, and now there are further calls for the whole commission to just be done away with because they can be allowed to manage another election, bearing in mind what happened during the 2019 elections. We're not hearing anything from the MEC side on this particular matter to say we're stepping down. We're not hearing anything from Jenansa. What's your take on the silence, first of all?
I would not really comment on the silence, but probably on the cause, because I remember on the 5th of August, I was invited to this program again, and I did say that the resignation of Madam Jane Ansah would be good for her as a person in the first place. Because should she be proven to have done everything according to the rules, then she would really, at that point, pat herself at the back and say she did a good job. Which I believe she was anticipating, that she would pat herself on the back and say she did a good job. Secondly, it would have shaped the future of elections in the country, mainly on the part of those that would be presiding over elections as a commission in the future. They would borrow a leaf from the resignation of Madam Jenansa to say, let's avoid such kind of a scenario in the future as a commission. There were calls from the civil society organizations, HRDC, which she did not heed to. People went to the streets, people lost properties as a result of some evil minds going into the demonstrations. But at the end of the day, the expectation of Malawians was that she would morally step down, which she never did up to now. I believe wherever she is and where the commission is after the judgment by the 5 judges that were sitting in the Constitutional Court, wherever they are sitting, they are feeling a sense of shame. They are regretting why they did not resign in the first place. So these calls are now becoming more automatic. That by being declared incompetent, definitely the next thing that follows is voluntarily resigning and saying, we did not do well. But there are reputations at stake, there is pride at stake. People want to stick on so that at least they have a dignified exit. But there is no dignified exit beyond this. Beyond the court ruling, there is no dignified exit. Every person knows Malawi Electoral Commission, this particular Malawi Electoral Commission, messed up the elections. It's in the history books. So there is no dignified exit. It's attached to them that they messed up elections. And the best thing they can do now is to step down.
In the event that doesn't happen, she doesn't step down, the current commissioners don't go away, what steps will the Malawi Congress Party take? Push it through Parliament? What's going to happen? Or will you allow the same chairperson and the same commissioners to manage the next election as MCP?
I will request you to shelve that question for now, because it requires it requires a stand of the party for a response to be granted. So I would request you to shelve that one for now. But to the supporters of Malawi Congress Party and all Malawians that are really keenly following this, I would say definitely the elections that are coming in the next 148 days, 147 days, will be managed by a competent commission.
Okay.
Or rather, not necessarily competent because we would not have tried it, but it's going to be a commission that would be carrying, that would be wearing a jacket of trust somehow from the face of Malawians.
Okay. Let's talk about elections now. They're 5 months away.
Yes.
How prepared are you as the Malawi Congress? What are you doing? Are you preparing?
As Malawi Congress Party, we've been prepared. We prepared very well for the 2019 elections, and that is the more reason that we won the elections because we got the highest number of votes. And even when we were not declared as the winners, Lazarus Chakwera was not declared the winner, but we had proof that we did well. We had proof that the elections were marred with irregularities, and it is that proof that has been taken to the courts. You will agree, the nation will agree with me that we had evidence that turned the whole face of the election and in the end secured the victory. That is all coming from the state of preparedness that we were in as a party. If we had not prepared well, definitely we were not going to gather that kind of evidence. If we were not prepared well, definitely we wouldn't have gotten that number of votes that we got in the election. Moving forward to the elections that are coming in the next 4 months, we are prepared. We know, we are cognizant of the fact that every election is different from the other because of the obvious dynamics that are there in every campaign. Now, there are people that will be desperate. They are in offices now, but offices as in high offices, controlling government coffers, they are panicking, obviously, and they would engage an extra gear, which would also include, among others, siphoning of public resources for use in campaign. We are aware of all that, but as Malawi Congress Party, we've been prepared, and we are always prepared. We are going to be prepared for the forthcoming elections, we are going to win.
You are the director of campaign.
Yes.
What is the strategy? Because you're obviously going to need to campaign again to remind Malawians why they should vote for the Malawi Congress.
That's right.
Why is MCP good? What's the plan from now moving forward?
I will not give you or the public the whole plan that we have.
Yeah.
But we have the backbone. The backbone of the Malawi Congress Party is the institution that we are. As an institution, we have our beliefs, we have our ideology. We would want to see this country developed. Every person must have a sense of belonging to this country. Thereby, we're talking about being served by a leader that is not a commander, but a leader, a servant leader. Ensuring that this country is united. Ending corruption. Corruption is the biggest vice that we're facing in this country. There must be rule of law in this country. But at the end, what interests a person from the village is that he or she would want to prosper along with everyone else. If it's education, whether someone goes to an international primary school and I send my child to a government primary school, at the end of it, both of them should be able to make their way to secondary school. And from secondary school, both of them should be able to make it to university. From university, both of them should be able to make it into the job market. They should be able to secure jobs. Or they should be able to participate in economic activities, be doing business or whatever they can be doing. When the landscape is leveled in that manner, everyone will have an opportunity to actualize their potential in life. If one goes to the hospital, be it a private hospital, a government hospital, they should be able to get drugs and survive in life. Well, that is what Malawi Congress Party wants. And because we are speaking to the minds of Malawians, we want young people to actualize themselves in life. There are many young people out there that, who are desperate. The ones that I talked of who went to the polls to vote so that they shape their future, those ones, they do not know where they're going to start from. We want those young people to start a life. We want those young people to have their future actualized. And because that's the agenda of the Malawi Congress Party and speaking to the hearts of Malawians, that's how ready we are. We don't necessarily need to go out there and distribute T-shirts, pieces of cloth and all that, because every party does that. We have done that. Every political party does that. And you find people that are walking around with party t-shirts with all sorts of inscriptions on the back, which does not really reflect what they want in life. So, as Malawi Congress Party, we've been ready. Obviously, we're going to sit down and see how we are going to campaign. But the biggest campaign that we have is the message that we already have, the leadership that we have in Lazarus Chakwera. That's what we believe inspires to the people.
Let's talk about tribalism and regionalism. These things are a cancer in Malawi society. Others have said the MCP is the same because yes, you have your top leaders are from different regions, but you did that just to be seen, not to be tribalistic or regionalistic. But deep down, you are the same. You are tribalistic as well, because when you look at Malawi Congress Party, most of the members are from the central region, etc., etc. Even you, Mr. Kunkuyu, partly you come from Dedze, if I'm not mistaken. What's your response to that?
Where do you come from, if I may ask?
I come from Cheo and Zomba.
You come from Cheo and Zomba. And there are Malawians that come from Dedza and Blanta, Lilongwe and Sanje, Lilongwe and Chitipa. Where do we draw this line of thinking that most Malawi Congress Party supporters come from the same?
These are the criticism that you get as a party.
You know, there will always be sets of criticism that would be directed at various groupings. Is it be it political parties, churches, and all that? So we are not spared of that. But the truth remains that what you see at the top is what you get at the bottom. It's a different Malawi Congress Party. Malawi Congress Party was once everywhere. Then there came a time when it disappeared, or it was kind of clouded in some other districts. But what we have now is a Malawi Congress Party that's a national party. Look at what happened in the past election. There are parties that claim to be big parties. They do not field candidates in all the constituencies in the country, not Malawi Congress Party. We were all over. What is it that people would want to see? Because we would want to learn from
because
that.
Malawians, this is an opportunity for you to assure Malawians that the problems that they've been facing, they'll no longer face them again if you get into power.
What problems are you referring to in this case?
We're talking about tribalism, we're talking about corruption,
No.
we're talking about...
If you talk of corruption, it's something that has to start from the top.
Yes. So
the leadership.
Currently, what are your plans to address the issues of tribalism? Because it's a problem. Can we deny it's not a problem in Malawi?
It has to start from the leaders. You know, when the leaders are tribalistic themselves, then it will trickle down to even the local person in the village. So if Lazarus Chakwera says in his words, I want to unite this country, even as we were anticipating the ruling of the court, he did say, whatever outcome from the court, it is the beginning of a new Malawi. Let's embrace that as a platform where we can launch a new Malawi, a unified Malawi, a reconciliated Malawi.
Those are words, Mr.
What
Kunkuyu.
else would you want?
How are you going to deal? That's
If the party has its leadership spread along the regions, if the leader himself is expressing that from the word of his mouth, if the leader himself has put that as one of the pillars that we are running behind as a party, uniting the country, tell me, this person is one who is currently sitting on the opposition side. What else would you have wanted a person who is sitting on the opposition currently to display so that the nation should be assured that we're going to have a different
you tell us.
Do you know that today you can face someone who will tell you that, okay, when you elect us into power, we're going to do A, B, C, D. You don't need to ask to that person to prove to you how they are going to do it. I mean, if they are indeed going to do it. Because at the end of the day, we are a country that has been voting for people based on the promises that
that's the very fear, because
yes,
that's
now,
the very fear.
If we are to speak realistically, that fear will always be there. We are still being held by at the ransom of promises that are being made. But the difference comes in implementation of the fulfillment of the promises that are made. Lazarus Chakwera has been a man of his word. He has made promises. He has delivered on those promises. Tell me one thing today that Lazarus Chakwera said and he did not deliver.
You tell us. You're the campaign director.
No, I'm asking.
What did
if
he
there
do?
is one thing.
What did he do?
No,
What did he promise?
I'm asking about one thing that Lazarus Chakwera said. Malawians, let's do this. We are going to do this, and he did not deliver on that. So we have been promised many things. Were we not promised the Mbombela University? Where is it? Were we not promised an airport in Mangochi? Where is it? Were we not promised a port in Nsanje and a city in Nsanje? Where is that? All these things we not promised health insurance for civil servants. Where is that? So Malawians get promised things and then they get duped along the way, but they still live with those people. We are saying we will still be promised things. The difference will be met the day that one leader will make a promise and deliver that promise, and that day is coming soon.
If Malawians give you the high office, they say, okay, President, we're voting for Dr. Lazarus Chakwera to be our next president. What are the first things that you're going to work on in this country? Do you have some in mind?
You know, you look at a country that is trying to attract foreign direct investment, and that country does not generate sufficient energy to drive those industries.
They are generators.
You mean the generators, the agricultural generators? I can tell you, if there is a time that we have gone so low as a country in our efforts to develop the energy sector, then it's the time that we brought those generators. The time that we unbundled ESCOM, that's the time we goofed a lot. So as a country, all those people we meet in Russia, we meet in London, we can go globetrot and in the name of trying to woo investors into the country. But when they peep into Malawi, they say, Malawi is a blackout country. How are we going to operate in Malawi? People are closing, people are shutting down in companies. So we have to develop the energy sector. We have to have a serious resolve to develop the energy sector.
Okay.
Look at young people that are loitering around the streets and
do you mind telling us how you intend to develop the energy sector?
If you look at our manifesto for 2019, what we outlined in that manifesto is what we're going to do now. I can tell you, energy, the cost of power in this country has skyrocketed when we brought those generators. The day we bring back ESCOM and Egenco together, because when we unbundled them, we just bisected the two and created another board somewhere where the people are getting allowances, they're getting vehicles, they're getting cars and all that. They have a secretariat, they're getting paid. But how much have they added to the grid? Tell me, since the unbundling, how much has come to the grid? How many megawatts have been added? Do you know that the project, the solar project in Salima today, if we launch that in March, 30 megawatts will be added. Another 3 months, another 30 will be added. The generators are giving us 54. If we ignore the generators that are costing us heavily on fuel, and I know they have just renewed their contract now with Agreco, if we ignore those generators now and bank on the Salima solar power project, we are going to find ourselves generating the same amount of power that we're generating today, but at a very low cost. Malawians are paying heavily for energy, and people don't know that because they think as long as the bulbs are on, then at some point they're told the bulbs are off because the electricity units have run out. They think they've paid the same as they were paying 2 years ago. No, Malawians are paying heavily now. For water, Malawians are paying more now. So we cannot remain fooling ourselves that the generators that someone produced in the name of Agreco to do business in the country are doing us good as a country.
Okay, so you are addressing the energy issue once you get into power.
Yes.
What else?
The education sector is key. When we have an educated nation, these people will be the best engineers that we can have in the country. And these engineers will develop the infrastructure of this country. Not that when we have a good job that is paying good money, then we have to call someone from outside the country to do that infrastructure.
Now, let me cut you there.
Yes.
There are lots of problems in the education sector.
Yes.
Everybody knows about them. High teacher-pupil ratio. You have one teacher teaching over 200 pupils.
Yes.
Then you have the issue of teaching and learning materials. And you have poor infrastructure, whereas in some cases a classroom block will fall on students and take away lives. Very unfortunate. But what are your plans exactly? How do you intend to do with that? Low pay as well for teachers. How do you intend to go around, work around the problem?
You know, we have to look at it from the Malawi Congress Party angle. Let's look at this from the early childhood development. If we carry the child from early stages of education, take them through to primary education, making sure that we provide the needs for learning, it all comes back to the issue of corruption, which takes away what would have been provided for the provision of services to those young people, to the teachers, to the learning materials and the infrastructure that is required for the young person to attain the early development stages in as far as education is concerned. Then we go into secondary school. It all comes back to funding towards those institutions which get robbed because of the corruption that is rampant in the country. Let's make sure that we allocate enough to the education sector. The teachers must be paid enough. If a teacher will be paid enough, that day, this teacher will be a happy person. Paid enough, paid in time. This teacher will be dedicated. And they will teach our children. Then go into higher education. Let's deal away completely with this quota system vice, which is being dealt with cosmetically now. The quota system issue is being dealt with now in a cosmetic manner because there has been some political noise around it. But we need some serious resolve to do away with the quota system. There are people from other regions of the country that are being victimized and not being given opportunities to study because of where they come from. Pay the teacher well. Provide enough to the development of infrastructure in the education sector. Make sure that we adhere to a ratio of pupil to child where a teacher will teach 60 pupils. Definitely we're going to achieve a lot in this country.
All right. Very finally, Mr. Kunkuyu, we have roughly around 5 minutes to wrap up the program. Let's talk about one final thing. Appointment of people into leadership positions in government. If you get in power, how are you going to change that? Because the criticism with successive governments has been that people are appointed on appeasement basis, but they've got no skill to do that particular job, whether it be a ministerial job, whether it be a spokesperson's job, whatever job you name it in government. That has been the problem. The MCP, how different will it be? How is it going to appoint people that can deliver?
That is indeed a big problem that we've had in the country. The appointing powers rest in the president. So he would appoint based on the qualifications that he feels are fit for people to occupy those offices. We can shelve that a little bit, but let me say there is need to have competent people appointed to offices where they can deliver, because that's the only key that we can see effectiveness and efficiency in the various departments of government. Even in the parastatals or government institutions that we have, you'll see people that are appointed because they want to be appeased as political followers. In the end, they do not serve the constitutional purpose that is there attached to their establishment. I'll give you an example of the public broadcaster that we have. People stopped watching. People stopped listening to it. When you see it, you're like, is this really an institution that we are financing as a people, as taxpayers?
Yeah.
But all they are doing, we have very brilliant journalists in MBC. Very brilliant. I'm mentioning the name because it's a public institution, so let them not have any beef against Times. Very brilliant ones. Very brilliant reporters, I will tell you, people that can work for BBC. But I doubt if from MBC they'll take their CV and present it to CNN looking for a job. Because what they are doing is not what they were taught where they learned about journalism. What they are doing is not what they were taught when they learned about managing of such kind of an institution. What they are doing is what they are told by the person that pulled them to say, please come and represent our interest in this public institution. And that is sad. When Malawi Congress Party forms government under the leadership of Lazarus Chakwera, we are going to look into all those to ensure that these brilliant young men that are there in institutions like MPC, in institutions like MACRA, MRA, in institutions that represent the interests of Malawians, those young people must be professional. It is only when they are professional that they will deliver professionally. They will not go and hunt down an institution, a media institution, because they aired a program that is deemed to be pro the opposition, then that is shut down. MRI will not come against people that are deemed to be opposition sympathizers, then get them off their jobs or get them, punish them with taxes that are not even authentic. It's only when people are performing professionally, when they are let free to operate professionally. Look at this country today. Young people that are the future, the custodians of the future, have been divided, segmented, fragmented rather, along political lines. As Malawi Congress Party, we're saying, no, young people have been brainwashed. They've just been brainwashed because those that are every day crying, if you're not daddy, go into their households. They're starving. They are starving. The ones that you see recording videos, mona nyekwe, go into their houses. There is nyekwe in their houses. They have no food in their houses. But they are all over praising people that are not even helping them. When they get involved in accidents or all that, they are neglected. They are thrown away. In the end, they are creating enmity between those young people and other young people simply because they belong to different political parties. But I want to tell you, a day is coming. A day is coming when you see Moses Kunkuyu sitting next to Jomo Osman, talking politics, smiling and laughing. A day is coming when you see those young people, those roughnecks that come on TV to threaten others. You see them sitting with a youth director, Richard Chimwendo from Malawi Congress Party, sharing a drink. That's the Malawi that Lazarus Chakwera is talking about. We don't want a Malawi where people say, no, voting for Lazarus Chakwera will be punished in this country. Those who break the law will be punished.
Okay.
But many followers of parties like the DPP are blind followers. They want a Malawi that is being advanced by Lazarus Chakwera. A Malawi where in Goliath, where they are buying a bag of maize for 18,000, they should be able to buy a bag of maize for 8,000.
Mr. Kunkuyu, thank you very much for joining us on Times Exclusive.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Bless you.
All right, that was Mr. Moses Kunkuyu, campaign director of the Malawi Congress Party. He was our guest today on Times Exclusive, talking the Malawi Congress Party and its plans for Malawi if it gets into power. My name is Elvis Sohoa. Take care.